It's very simple. What is the maximum dollar you do not want to exceed with this property? Now let's look at it and see what the house has to say and let the house speak for itself, because I'm fluent in house.
All right, guys, so I am so excited today that I'm going to introduce you to the one and only Eric Wade. Eric is a HUD consultant, and Eric and I go back 10 years or more, at least 10 years.
At least.
Eric is part of the reason why I changed my life and course of my career and how I got into real estate. More than 10 years ago, my wife and I decided to house hack, and so buy a multi-unit, live in one, and rent the other two. Well, we vastly realized that we didn't have enough money to buy a rehabbed property, so I've learned about a program called FHA 203K. And I've learned also that I cannot do it without having the right team on my side. And Eric is the man that helped me navigate through all the questions that I had about construction and keep the relationship going between me and the contractor, and help me, especially my wife was pregnant, help me navigate through that jungle of construction, rehab, banking, and everything else. So please welcome Eric Wade. Eric, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Eric, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get started in this career, and how long have you been doing this for?
Well, I kind of fell into this. I was a car audio installer for many years, and then at the age of 20, I got out of the business and just kind of fell in doing termite inspections for a local agency here in the Chicagoland area. It was an inspection agency. They did home inspections, they did termite inspections, roof inspections, new construction. But what I didn't realize at the time was the gentleman that owned that company at that time was also one of the leading 203K consultants in the Chicagoland area at that time. And he started training me at a very young age of 20. I started just slowly training in the field and slowly moved into doing it on my own, doing home inspections, doing FEMA hurricane stuff. I've done insurance inspections. Finally became a 203K consultant, never looked back.
That's awesome. Well, without telling us your age, so roughly how many years have you been in this industry, in the 203K world?
In the 203K world, about 16 years. As an inspector, 23.
Wow. That's impressive, and I can tell you that the experience is there. Every single client that I referred Eric to has thanked me not once, but multiple times about how experienced, how knowledgeable, and how much you've helped them with their purchases and their projects. For everybody that's watching, I know that 203K could be overwhelming, but truly, what's your role in this process?
My role is pretty extensive, actually. I'm involved from usually first person in, last person out. I'm involved on the front end, going into the home, determining if the scope of work that the homeowner is wanting to do combined with the things that we have to do to the house. You know, you're gonna have a lot of mandatory stuff that's gonna be required to do for HUD and FHA. And then we also have what is referred to as the snowball effect. The snowball effect is anything that the local building department can call as a result of the work that the homeowner is wanting to do. So it's very important as a consultant that I properly inspect the house to know exactly what we're getting ourselves in here getting into. With that also being said, I write up a scope of work. It's extremely detailed. Most contractor bids these days are 3 or 4 pages for a $100,000 job. Mine's gonna be more like 25 to 30 pages. It breaks everything out into its simplest of details. This way it gives the homeowner the ability to know exactly what they're getting, and it also allows the contractor to know exactly what they're installing. With that, I also produce another report that accompanies that report. It's basically the contractor's bid. You don't have to worry about your contractor writing a bid. I'm gonna write it for him or her. All they have to do is just plug their numbers in and play. And then at that point, I will be the one that will assist the homeowner in getting all the documents that the lender and HUD and FHA will accept in a fashion that they will accept, and they can then get the deal closed. Once the deal closes, I then become what is known as a fee inspector. I'm still the homeowner's consultant. I'm still working for everybody involved, but I'm here to keep everybody together, keep it on track, and keep it moving forward. I perform draw requests on the back end, basically telling the lender what to pay the general contractor throughout the process. We go through it. I help assist with anything that may be held up with permits. I can help homeowners with that. Just go all the way through to the end, and basically at the very end, once we're all done, I shake the homeowner's hand and welcome them home. We're done.
It's wonderful, and one of the best memories I have of you 10 years ago helping my wife and I with our first purchase was doing the draw requests. I remember the contractor back then speaking Chinese. Now I know a lot more about construction, and we've done tens of projects and kitchens and bathrooms and everything else. But I remember back then the contractor calling for, a plumbing draw or electric rough draw, and I'm like, what is this? And then I remember you giving me so much ease and saying, Catalin, we went together and you were explaining exactly what we're paying the contractor for, and you were also giving me that strength and confidence that everything is done right and by the code. Because knowing that I have somebody that, you're not going to pay the contractor if the job is not done right.
That's correct.
So that, I have to tell you, I'm forever grateful, and I still have that building, and it's working, and I've never had any issues with it. It's still like a new construction.
That's absolutely beautiful. That's how you build the American dream these days. You do one, you move on to the next one. Now, a lot of people I have, clients that have gone through them, their first one, they tell me I'll never do another one again. And I explain to them, you're the perfect person to do another one again. You know why? You've been through it.
Yes.
You know what you're gonna go through. Nobody comes out of the womb and starts running.
Yes.
You gotta learn to crawl. And if it were easy, everybody would be doing it.
Exactly. So I remember it wasn't easy, but absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it.
Put together a strong team, you cannot go wrong. And what I mean by a strong team, think of it like a chain. And what I mean by a chain is every link in that chain represents somebody that's involved. You as the realtor, me as the consultant, the loan officer, the underwriter, the processor, the appraiser, the general contractor, the draw department. There's so many people. If you get one weak link in that chain, it's gonna pop.
Yeah.
And the only person that's gonna hurt is you as a homeowner. And I'm here to prevent that chain from popping.
That's wonderful. Guys, write that down and make sure when you're ready, have the right team on your side. Talking about team and chains and things not going well, what kind of roadblocks do people usually hit, and how do you help them out?
You name it. As you know, there's lots of roadblocks here. Usually the first roadblock you're gonna run into is with sellers, of course.
Yes.
All the sellers wanna get these things closed. You have to have an agent like yourself that is very knowledgeable about this process and how it works so that they can keep the seller kind of down to earth and keep them understanding that we're still moving here. Some of the other things after you close, you're gonna probably run into issues getting permits, especially if you're here in the city of Chicago. City of Chicago's building department, they cut the staff dramatically. They shut down all the satellite offices. Everything has to be done through online now, or it has to be done by going down to the building department. Most of it is all online. That can lead to delays by itself, but it's also dependent on what you're doing. If you're doing like a simple bathroom and kitchen, permits aren't so bad.
Yeah.
If you're taking a 2-unit building, blowing the roof off and adding 2 floors and blowing the back of the building out to make more room, and you have to go through plan review, you have to have architectural blueprints, those things can take time. Just getting blueprints done on a project like that could be 60 to 90 days by itself. So you want to make sure that you buy yourself enough time. Now, as a consultant, I'm going to help you through those spots. I know what's going to happen. I've been through it 1,000 times. I know the steps and events in which they're going to happen. Now, what the great thing with the 203K is, and this is something a lot of people don't know, if the appraisal turns out good on the front end, you can wrap up 6 months of your mortgage payments on that property into the loan to where you're not having to pay a mortgage payment on it while it's under construction.
That was what made Dina's and I project work and gave us the breathing room to not have to stress financially until the project was done. And to use a very specific example of a roadblock, So 10 years ago, and even now, but 10 years ago, we were right after the craziness with porches falling and unfortunately people getting hurt and even dying. I remember with my project, we had to put a brand new porch. I remember the contractor submitted a permit, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. And my wife was what, 8 months pregnant and cranky.
Yes, she was.
And cranky. And I remember I would not have done it without you, where you gave us the guidance and you said, listen, go to the city hall. Go to the permits department. They're gonna see you so pregnant, crying a little bit, and you're gonna somehow get it done. And you know what? We got it done. My wife went there wobbling, started crying. I mean, we're talking about hormones, crying on the spot.
God bless her.
And we got the permit, which was absolutely fantastic. And again, I would not have been able to do it without Eric. So amazing. Thank you for going over the hurdle.
Yeah, that was, nowadays the building departments with these back porches, they're still tough on them. We're still having porch collapses everywhere. And I tell people, if you've got a question on anything multi-unit with a back porch, just consider taking it down.
Yeah.
Because the city's looking for any reason to make you take it down.
It's very expensive too, but.
Especially with lumber costs, and after COVID, lumber jumped up almost 400%, I think it was. And everybody nowadays is screaming, oh, it's down 150%. Why is things so high still? Well, it went up 400%. So the porches have gotten extremely expensive these days, but I'm here to help you navigate it. And there's different ways around it. It's just all about thinking outside the box with some of these properties.
Awesome. Well, talking about, we just spoke about roadblocks. Roughly, how long is it going to take for a home buyer to, finish the project and move in?
Well, it depends on the size of the project. If you're doing, a fence, countertops, flooring, sometimes that takes a month or two, depending on your contractor. I've seen contractors take $20,000 jobs, $40,000 jobs, and they spend 6 months getting it done. That doesn't save you any money. That's why it's very important to select the right contractor, somebody that's going to stay engaged with the property versus doing your project and juggling 4 other ones. We don't want that person. We want somebody that's going to stay engaged. According to HUD's guidelines, we're supposed to be done within 6 months. Do they all get done within 6 months? Unfortunately not. That's where I step in to assist though. I assist with filing for the extensions with the lender to make sure that the lender understands these delays are not because of you. These are delays for things that are out of our control. I've had properties that people have moved into literally right after closing.
Wow.
They closed on the property, but all they were doing was building an addition on the back side of the house. They can live inside the house. You can build the foundation on the outside, go for a vacation. When you come back, the merge between the 2 houses is complete. When it comes down to how long is it going to take, there's so many variables, it's tough to say. But as a consultant, I am going to be in the background, watching, pushing as fast as I can, and as hard as I can to keep everybody on track and keep everybody moving.
Awesome. Let's talk about some wins. Tell us about a project that you enjoyed and that you took it from start to finish.
Well, I loved yours. I absolutely loved your property. You were a great client. I have clients, some of them in the past, that weren't such great clients, and it made it miserable for everybody involved. So yours was a prime example of a good one. It was a multi-unit. We did all new electric, all new plumbing, new kitchens, new bathrooms. That's the definition of a 203K. Being able to take a property that's in dilapidated condition, one of the best neighborhoods, but it's the worst house on the block, and take it and build it, and to be able to watch it transform from something that people would be wearing masks and Tyvek suits to go into,
yes,
to seeing a giant smile on their face, especially with you and Dana. You and Dana, the day I left you guys were so happy, and I was so happy for you that I could be part of building your American dream.
And I'm still happy.
I'm glad you are. I'm glad you are.
And I have to tell you one thing, and I have to tell you one thing is Eric is amazing. But it's also up to you to do your homework, do your research, and have the right people around you that can answer your questions and set the right expectations, because that's why I think Eric says I was a great client because I was educated. Yeah, I did not know all the answers, but I did my homework, and that's why Eric ended up working with me, because I actually interviewed multiple lenders, multiple real estate agents, and multiple HUD consultants. I knew I'm going to get to the finish line. So that's extremely important to all your future clients or my future clients.
Absolutely.
I always stress education and knowledge.
It's very important, like I said earlier, about putting that chain together, making that chain right, getting those people lined up. Spend the time to get your team together before you even think about engaging a property. Have your team lined up. Do what you did. Interview people. Call me, interview me. Tell me you're going to be utilizing other consultants. You're going to interview them. See what you can, but you've got to get that good feeling about that person. You know, anybody that you call as a consultant that says, I'm going to schedule you for next week. When can you meet? And that's it.
That's not okay.
Probably not a good way to start it out. Any of my projects, if you call me, I'm going to sit down with you for probably the first 45 minutes to an hour to do what I refer to as an initial phone consultation. That initial phone consultation will explain to you every single bit of the 203K process from start to finish, even down to how the appraisal works, how the draws work, how the lien waivers work, how the payouts work, how the bank actually pays the contractor, how they work with me in conjunction with doing the draws. It explains everything. So that way, when I come to meet you at the property, it's very simple. What is the maximum dollar you do not want to exceed with this property? Now let's look at it and see what the house has to say and let the house speak for itself, because I'm fluent in house.
I love that. You're fluent in house. I love that. We have to patent that. It's the market, we all know. It's been a little crazy recently, right? Rates going up, no supply, definitely crazy demand. How can using a 203K program advantage and put give a home buyer some a leg up or some advantage in this market?
Find the nastiest house on the nicest block. A lot of people don't look at those houses. Everybody wants that move-in ready, but if you're willing to take that extra initiative and willing to take a little bit of a risk, I mean, you curb the risk with the consultant, but I'm not going to be able to curb everything. You know, there's things that are going to be out of my control as well, but you can take that nasty house that's in that perfect neighborhood, that perfect school district. It's right off the expressway. It's close to work. Everything's perfect, but oh my God, is it dilapidated? Call me. We'll go look at it. You tell me what you want to do. I can give you an idea as to what your average general contractor is going to charge to complete this. And if it's too small, let's build additions. We can go up, we can go out, we can go side, we can go down, we can go any which way you want.
This makes me so excited because I've done it, and I know you guys are excited about it because we just opened up a world of opportunities and possibilities for you to build build or rehab your dream home. So with that being said, Eric, I heard you saying throughout this little interview, we can do a kitchen, or we can do a bathroom, or we can do, how small of a project, how big of a project? Walk me just roughly, what can I use the 203K for?
Pretty much anything you want to do. I get the question all the time, what can I do with the 203K? It's easier to tell you the things you cannot do with the 203K. Can't do window dressings, blinds, swimming pools. I can go up to $1,500 towards the repair of an in-ground pool, but we can't build you a brand new pool. Swimming pools, hot tubs, bowling alleys, shooting lanes, basketball courts, volleyball courts, anything else that you can imagine, we can do. I've had some that were as small as doing nothing more than a fence and new appliances because the interest rate and everything was right there. It's a better option than a home equity loan. Home equity loan is on top of your loan. With a 203K, it's a 30-year fixed. There's two types of 203K. There's the streamlined 203K. The streamlined 203K is anything less than $35,000 in repairs. You cannot have any type of structural modifications, alterations, additions, or repairs are allowed under that loan, and you cannot have any type of major landscaping. So if you meet that criteria, you actually don't need me as a consultant. Now, some people prefer to still have a consultant involved. It's an extra charge, of course, but it's more insurance for you. If you are over $35,000 in repairs, you need a consultant. If you're doing anything repairs could be as simple as I'm putting in a fence. I'm repairing a stair tread, that structure. So now you need a consultant involved. but it's also more insurance for you. Now, I have had projects that were real simple. Vents, appliances, maybe new countertops, repair some flooring. I've also had some that where the house, we lifted it up off the foundation.
Yeah.
We moved it 4 blocks down the road out of a flood zone. We poured an all brand new foundation, set the structure on the foundation, bolted it, took it to the studs and came back brand new. The owner of this house had this house in their family. Their great-great-great-grandfather built it. And they did not want to lose it, but because some of the waterways, I guess, got changed down there, it put it into a flood zone. Well, with 203K, you can still do a 203K on a flood zoned house, but you can't put as much into it because of the restrictions. So they wanted to get it out of the flood zone, and that's exactly what we did. And it was the craziest thing. It's 2 semi-trucks with a house sitting on it, moving down the road. They're taking down power lines, they're taking down street lights, they're moving street signs out of the way to get this house over there. People are outside snapping pictures. That was one of my more memorable ones.
Wow.
I actually went down to watch that one happen, and it was, I don't think I had fingernails after we were done with that one.
I can only imagine. This sounds like a total movie, out of a movie, or like the Up movie. I don't know if you know the cartoons where...
House in the Blues, yes, I remember.
That's why they made that movie, after you. You and moving homes. That's absolutely amazing. Now, it sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot. There's going to be a lot of questions that our viewers might have. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to reach you and consult you and hopefully, some business with you?
I'm a pretty straightforward guy. I don't like doing too much stuff through like websites and things. I like to be more personable. I like people to reach out to actually physically talk to me so that I can get a feel for that person as well, and they can get a feel for me. So they can always reach out to me on my cell phone, which is 630-774-6567. You can feel free to call, text me. I'm usually available 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and sometimes even on holidays.
Well, reach out to him during business hours.
I prefer it.
Let Crystal relax too. What an amazing interview. It's such a great time. It's always an honor being with you, Eric, and learning from you. And
my pleasure.
Every single time I have Eric out at a project, I am like a sponge. Learn, because every time he looks at any house, he speaks house clearly, and I am learning that vocabulary too, and it's so wonderful to have you.
It's a pleasure.
You guys heard the inside scoop of the 203K loan straight from the expert's mouth. Okay? Now, if you guys are tired of getting outbid in this market, finding those homes that are finished and everybody wants it, now you have the tools to get the ugliest home in the best neighborhood and make it yours. So stop waiting and reach out to us and let us know your questions, let us know your concerns, and we will be here to help you out. Have an amazing day and be the absolute best you can be. Ciao, guys.